All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be the first entry in a new series that I'm starting called Are You Ready to Be in a Relationship? The reason why I'm starting this series is because it's becoming more and more apparent to me that a lot of brothers are not quite sure what they're getting into. I stated this in another video, and it's not always the liberal woman's fault. The liberal woman is going to do what you allow her to do. And unfortunately, because so many so-called black men are being raised in matriarchal homes, they have to learn things the hard way, the worst way, and that's through experience. And they put themselves through all these unnecessary tribulations because they're not prepared, usually because they're simps, i.e. liberal black men. And they debase themselves and emasculate themselves, even more than the woman does, even more than the liberal woman does. Before she has the chance to marginalize you and emasculate you, you're already ready to do that on your own. And that's what we're going to see in this court case here. This woman right here is named Janice Lewis Kegler. And she's going to detail the quote-unquote relationship that she had with the defendant. And she's going to touch on many of the points that I go over on this channel in regards to how to spot the liberal black woman. And the vast majority of them are liberal. It's just a matter of to what degree, how extreme the liberalism is that they adhere to or that they believe in, because it truly permeates throughout most of their being. But because the defendant was a liberal black man, aka a simp, he was unable to understand or grasp exactly what he was getting into. So anyway, they're going to talk about it and I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Janice Lewis Kegler says she was married when she met the defendant, but they started having an affair because Janice was having marital issues.
Now, brothers, did you hear that? It states, or the narrator stated, that the plaintiff here, Janice Lewis Kegler, she initiated a so-called relationship with the defendant while she was married. And I state this all the time. You have to understand what marriage is in this society. All marriage is the bonding together or the joining of two corporations, because that's how you're viewed in this society. You're viewed as a corporation. The person that you're going to marry is another corporation. That's why they legalize homosexual and lesbian marriage, because all it is the bonding of two corporations. It's no longer about the bonding of a man and his wife. At one time, when marriage was meant to be the joining together of a man and a woman, that was when there was a spiritual resonance or a spiritual aspect to it. There is no longer a spiritual aspect to marriage, and there has not been for well over a century. They've just been whittling it down and revealing to people what modern day marriage is actually about. But just to get back to the point, the reason why so many of these marriages don't last is because, for the most part, so many people today get married for the wrong reason, or after the ceremony, they don't know what's next, because there's this huge build up to the ceremony. And then after the ceremony, you basically just have two housemates, two roommates living together. There's no longer the gender roles in this society. So after a while, the so-called man and so-called woman, they start to compete with one another within the house to see who's going to reign supreme. Or the woman gets bored, or the man realizes, the quote-unquote man realizes, that he had no business coming together with this person in the first place, and that he made a big mistake. And that's when things start to go downhill. But as the narrator stated, this female claimed that she was going through quote-unquote marital difficulties. And when it comes to the woman, so-called marital difficulties normally just mean that she got bored.
Janice claims after she moved the defendant in with her, she discovered he was still seeing his ex, and he even got her pregnant. Janice is suing him today for a loan and property. Defendant William Brunius says a year into his relationship with Janice, things got serious, and they started talking about marriage. William claims he even got a tattoo of Janice's name because he thought they were going to be together.
Now, brothers, did you hear that? This is confirmation that this person here, the defendant, was a big male simp. He actually got a woman's name tattooed on his neck. Why would you do that, even if you were quote unquote in love with the woman? But then again, I guess that answers my question, because if you're in love with the woman, that means that you put her on a pedestal and you idolize her. Once again, you never ever fall in love with anything in the flesh. You're only supposed to be in love with the Most High. You're supposed to love your woman. But everything in the flesh is temporary, because one day you're going to pass on into the spirit world, or she will. So you cannot have that level of spiritual attachment to anything in the flesh. It just is what it is. But for a man to get another person's name tattooed on his neck, especially his quote unquote significant other, that shows you that he was dealing with idolatry.
But now that they aren't, he wants her to pay for the tattoo removal, so he's countersuing.
Now this dumbass actually wants her to pay to have the tattoo removed.
Go ahead, start with you, ma'am.
I met William in 2012. I was married, but we had like an instant chemistry.
Now, brother, did you hear that? She stated that she met the defendant in 2012 and she was already married, but they had an instant chemistry. What does that really mean? That means that, once again, as usual, the liberal woman believes that because she has a so-called chemical attraction or some type of biochemical occurrence within her that tells her that she's attracted or drawn to a new face or a new man, that allowed her to initiate the self-destruct programming in the relationship that she already had with the previous man, even though she was quote unquote married. Remember, once again, marriage, quote unquote, in this society is not a spiritual union at all. It is the bonding together of two corporations. That's all it is. And when one party decides that they want to get a quote unquote divorce, all they're doing is dissolving that union between those two corporations. It's no different from what you hear on the news when you hear about Amazon.com taking on Whole Foods, and now Whole Foods is a part of Amazon.com. It's the same thing. John Doe marries Jane Smith and she becomes Jane Doe, or she becomes Jane Smith / Doe. That's all it is. So once again, when you decide that you're going to embark down that path of what they call a serious relationship, much less marriage, understand what you're getting into.
We started dating. Later on, I found out that he had a girlfriend.
In other words, you decided to leave your man, quote unquote, allegedly leave your husband for him. And then you came to find out that allegedly he was with somebody else. So turnabout is fair play.
Later on, I had some marital issues. We separated.
Now, she says later on she has some marital issues. In other words, you left your husband to be with him because he was the new thing. You got tired of the old thing and you want to get with the new thing. This is why there have to be, in a real culture, there have to be strong parameters placed around marriage so that people can understand that when you decide to make that level of a commitment, that it's a spiritual commitment. But once again, in this society, you're not viewed as a flesh and blood person. You're not viewed as having a soul. You're viewed purely as a financial commodity, a financial asset. That's it. That's why they've stripped the spiritual aspect away from marriage.
Me and William moved together. And after that, I found out he had gotten somebody pregnant, the same lady. And they had a baby.
How long had you all been dating before you moved together?
A couple years. A few years.
It's that time you say you found out he had a child outside of you all's relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And how did that work out?
That just shifted our relationship. We were more or less friends instead of in a relationship.
Still living in the household?
No, he had moved out at that time.
Okay. Hear from you.
Around 2012, me and her met. We had, relationship, and maybe about a year into the relationship, things got serious. We had started talking about, getting married and having kids, the whole little family thing.
So in other words, after about a year of you guys having an affair, because she was married, but you were into just trying to pop her because you saw that she was a hoe. Let's be for real. He realized that she was a hoe, and you have a lot of married females out here that are dealing with extracurricular activities, even though they don't expose it in this society as much as they do to men, because once again, they're trying to exalt the image of the feminine principle. You saw that she was an easy target. She was a bored woman in a marriage, and you said, let me deal with her. And then after a while, you realize, you know what, I might be stuck with this broad because she's hanging around and she has a few dollars.
Maybe about a year and maybe 4 months, I had, we had talked about getting a tattoo, which I have. I have evidence of that as well. And I had moved in, things got serious. I had, made a post on Facebook.
Now, brother, did you hear that? He said that he had moved into her place, and you'll oftentimes find this in the modern day relationship dynamic. Normally, it's the woman that has the house, especially when it comes to the liberal black woman and the liberal black man. The liberal black woman has the house by whatever means. Either it's in her name or it's in her former paramour's name or former husband's name. And she gets the house, and then she establishes a new relationship with a new guy, usually a simp, and then she gets him to move in with her. Very rarely do you see situations where it's the black man that owns the house and then he gets the woman to move in with him. Because once again, a lot of you brothers think more emotionally when it comes to your relationships than the woman does. The woman makes a good show of talking about being in love and love this and relationships that. But when it comes to matters of money and finance, very rarely will they forget what actual power is about. And power is about who owns the residence. That's why they love to have men move in with them. Because if things turn sour, they can always cast them to the side and kick them out.
That we were together.
Moved in where?
I moved in with her. I had moved in with her.
Your husband wasn't living there, obviously.
We separated, yes. He left, yes.
Okay, I'm just curious, was it his name on the house as well?
No, sir. No, Your Honor.
You all were married, though, right?
Yes, sir.
You hear that? The former husband's name was not on the house. So the former husband was another sucker that she was able to ensnare in her web. Brothers, you never, ever, ever move into a woman's house and not have your own place on the side. Never, ever do that. Even if you decide that you're going to move in with a woman and you're going to assist her in paying the mortgage and the utilities or what have you, you don't move in unless you can also maintain your own place. Because your name is not on that mortgage. So that means that she can cash you aside whenever she wants. Basically, all you're doing is assisting her in paying her mortgage. She's exchanging vagina for you contributing to her bills. So basically, she's not losing.
Did you have it before your marriage?
Yes.
You owned it before you married your husband?
Yes.
Okay. Just trying to see whether you had the man in your husband's house, but you said it was your house.
Well, brother, you already know that that's really not a matter of relevance for the liberal female, particularly the liberal black female. Their attitude is that they're no longer with the man. He's gone, so they can move in or they can bring over whoever they like. But once again, these are issues that are tolerated by the so-called black man. Why is it tolerated by the so-called black man? Because he's the biggest simp on the planet Earth. There's not even a close second. And why is he the biggest simp? Because the so-called black man here in America especially is being raised in matriarchal households. So all he's known is the dominance of the feminine principle from when he was a child.
You had it before he came around. Before you picked him up at the bus stop, you had that house.
See, now even Mathis is picking up on what the dynamic actually is. He sees what she's about. She picks up a lot of these lame dudes, gets them to believe and gets herself to believe that they're in love, because many women are addicted to falling in love. Remember, falling in love, and I mentioned this before, is like a drug. It's a new high every time somebody who's addicted to falling in love establishes a new relationship. And that could be a man or a woman, but it's mostly the woman that's in love with the idea of being in love. So they'll go about and they'll develop a process similar to a serial killer. They know how to reel in a new man, and then they go through the same process of the joy and the ecstasy of the early part of the so-called loving relationship. They want to see if they can get the man to conform to their ideas about relationships and falling in love. And once they get the man to do that, then it starts to get boring. That's when all the little silly arguments start, and that's when they can cast them aside, because once again, they own the property.
Did you have a child while you were living with her?
No, that was after the fact, Your Honor.
After you all broke up?
Right. After we broke up, after I got the tattoo and found out that she wasn't going to leave this guy, and found out that he got a tattoo as well. So
once again, that's how you know that she was running game on simps. And a lot of brothers don't even know that they're simps. I might start a series, Are You a Simp? It's very important. Now you have some simps that are willful simps, and then you have some simps that are simps against their own understanding, against their own volition. They don't even know that they're a simp. They've been raised a certain way by the females in their family, or maybe their father was a simp. Then they go to the school system, and the school system now, which is Marxist, is instructing young boys to accept homosexuality, lesbianism, and feminism. So basically, the school system has become a simp training program. And by the time that many of these men realize how they were mistaught and mistrained, they're 35, 40 years old. They have an alimony or two, maybe 2 or 3 kids that they're paying quote unquote child support for. And they were never taught anything. So you have a lot of simps out here, and they don't know that they're simps.
So, ain't no telling.
What guy?
The husband.
Yeah, the other simp.
Okay.
The husband got her name tattooed.
Y'all got the same tattoo. You and your
Yeah, getting branded like hoes. Male hoes. That's all. That's all they are. Once again, a simp is a woman trapped in a man's body. A lot of these dudes out here have the spirit of a woman.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So ain't no telling who else got it. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's right.
Just saying.
She brands you guys when she
Simple as that, like cattle.
Pretty much.
put her brand on you.
She got that brand in effect on her.
So, but you still didn't answer my question. After you left her is when you had a baby with another woman?
Correct. Once I found out that she likes her cake and eat it too, I wanted to have me some cake on the side as well.
All right. Did she have a baby with her cake?
No.
All right, but you did.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
And the loan and property, tell me about how he owes you for that.
In March of 2017, I loaned him $2,800 in cash to complete a job. And the money was supposed to be paid back that Friday, in which it wasn't. We did a promissory note. I lost it. And in addition to that, it was tools that I loaned him to do a job. And I never saw those tools again. And I don't know what
That was over a year ago. So what has he been telling you since then?
Well, he's made sporadic payments in a total of
that's why he's
$1,300.
Well, how much does he currently owe on the loan?
On the cash, it would be $1,500. The
And on the
tools are
tools?
$1,100.
How much?
$1,103.
All right. And when was the last time you all discussed the $1,500?
The last time he made a payment was last month. He gave me $100.
Okay. Let me hear from you, sir.
Yeah, so basically that's what our
Loan tools. That's what we want to hear about.
Okay. Now, as far as the tools, she did loan me the tools, and like I explained to her, through the process, of being in Detroit, sometimes, my guys, they leave stuff on the job, houses get broken into.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with what you owe that woman? And we see this theme over and over again with a lot of these dudes that are spineless and are simps. They allow themselves to fall in love with these females. They don't know anything about the nature of the woman. They get their heart broke, and then they don't want to give back the money that was loaned to them by their woman/new mama, because they're trying to hold out having to pay the woman back because they're trying to get her back for quote unquote breaking their heart, i.e. allowing themselves to buy into that nonsense. So all it is fuckery on top of fuckery, man. Just give the woman back her money so that you can provide closure for yourself, move upward and move forward, man. And a lot of guys get caught up in a lot of that dumb shit.
And basically that's what happened.
What do you mean living in Detroit?
Well, I mean, it's rough there. Sometimes certain areas
It's
you
the only
can't.
place they break in houses in Detroit. Well, that's all you made reference to. Living in Detroit, there's a lot of houses.
Well, he's expecting you to understand, or at least pick up on the notion or the sentiment that the tools got stolen because he was doing a job up in Detroit, and Detroit is allegedly known for having a high crime rate. In other words, he's trying to bullshit his way out of reimbursing the woman for what he owes her.
is broken into.
Well,
Living in Bloomfield, their houses broken
Yes,
into.
sir, I agree.
Bloomfield, as you know, $1 million or more houses. And they breaking houses there too. So don't leave anything down in Bloomfield either.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's just
And now Math is getting sensitive because Detroit is his hometown.
say leaving the tools on the job. Period. No matter where you at, it's not a good idea.
So what happened?
Some of the tools were taken. I still have possession of her ladder, which
Why don't you think you were responsible for the tools? How long had you kept them?
Well, I just feel like I'm not responsible.
How long had you kept them?
You just feel like you're not responsible because you're still mad that you allowed yourself to fall in love with this broad who reeled you in like a praying mantis and bit off your damn head. And you feel stupid because you have a tattoo of her name on your neck, like a sex slave.
Them.
For maybe about a year.
Hey, brothers, look. Ain't no pussy on the planet worth getting a woman's name tatted on the side of your neck. I don't give a damn how good that shit is.
Will be.
Did you know you were going to be returning them?
Yes, sir.
When did you intend to return them?
Well, I intended on returning them when I got through using them.
When did you ask him for them back? How long after borrowing them did you tell him you wanted your...
Judge, he never intended on returning the tools after he realized that she was going to keep doing her. That's what the real issue is. He realized that this chick is infatuated with hopping from dick to dick. And they're just females like that. Once again, brothers, that's why it's so important to understand the difference between a wife and a concubine. Okay? It's very, very, very crucial that you understand those differences because it's going to save you a lot in court fees and all other type of fees. And a lot of you guys that have had your so-called heart broke is because you did not understand what you were getting into.
wanted your tools back?
Within that week.
All right, is that true?
No.
How long did she say?
It wasn't really a time frame in it.
Okay, so that means it's a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
And a year is way beyond a reasonable amount of time to give somebody their things back.
Absolutely, especially since supposedly you were supposed to have reimbursed her by that Friday. So what this is really about is that you're still upset that she put that good coochie on you. However good the coochie was, got you out there getting a tramp stamp on the side of your neck like a $2 hoe, and now you want to be reimbursed because she only gave you $1. She didn't give you $2. You're a $2 hoe, and she only gave you $1. You know, this stuff is really pathetic. Really, brothers, that's why I like to use these court cases, because it provides something tangible that a lot of brothers go through in their everyday life. That's why it's important for us to not be so sanctimonious all the time. We have to address real life issues, all right, in a real way, especially for a lot of you younger brothers out there. When you start dealing with these women, take your time, all right? Take your time. But those of you who are 17, 18 years old out there, you're going to Burger King with your little shorty, you're going out to the movies with her, odds are that shit is not going to last. And when I say odds, I'm talking about 99.999% chance that shit is not going to last. I'm not saying to not be mentally available to the young lady that you're with. Of course, you take things as they come, but you have to understand how to prioritize shit. All right? It's very important.
Now, what do we say to the loan?
I was paying her back. We would be up and down in our relationships.
Oh, nigga, please. You have nothing to say about the loan. You still owe this broad money. You're still mad because you feel like you got jerked.
Ships, when we good, I'm okay. When we down, she want her money.
I mean, you okay with what? Paying?
Right, she never brought it up.
Well, you got to bring it up. You know you owe and you've been paying.
Well,
so why suddenly she got to reinforce?
You're right.
You were paying her.
Well, I felt some kind of way, Your Honor. I'm just being...
You felt... See, now we're getting to the point. Brothers, you hear that? Do you hear that? This dude said he felt some type of way. That's why I tell you, a lot of these guys, they're simps that got their heart broke, man. And I don't say that to try to rub dudes' face in the mud or anything like that. Life is about getting through trials and travails and tribulations and things of that nature. That's what life is about. But a lot of these guys, they lead with their emotions. A lot of males in this society, especially the so-called black man, has been taught to think and live and exist with his heart and with his bottom head as opposed to the top head. And don't get it twisted. There's a lot of satisfaction that you can get from the bottom head. But wisdom starts from the top. All right? Starts from the top, and it's going to save you a lot of aggravation. And the woman will respect you more in the long run. As I tell you brothers all the time, the woman is just a child with breasts. That's all they are. Women are wonderful. They're beautiful. They're essential. They cannot be replaced. But at the end of the day, they're basically functional children with breasts. That's all they are. And you have to operate on a higher level, or you're going to end up bugged out of your mind in court, owing all types of fees and money and things of that nature. And you're going to end up making a jackass of yourself. That's it. You're going to end up making a big jackass out of yourself.
About what? Your emotions?
Yeah.
All right, well, your emotions, put them aside and pay this money. He said the reason he didn't pay you because his emotions. And tattoo removal, sir, that was on you. To put a
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I have no idea what type of sympathy he's looking for because he got a damn tattoo.
tattoo on your neck, and now she run off on you, you want to take it off. Take it off, but you got to pay for it. $2,716 for you. Judgment for the plaintiff, your claim dismissed. Have a good day.
Simple as that. Have a good day. You take your dumb ass over to the tattoo removal place and have them laser that shit off. And brothers, you're not supposed to be getting a tattoo anyway. But that's a whole other topic for another video. But you're not supposed to be getting a tattoo.
No hard feelings.
Of course there's no hard feeling. You probably got some new dick in your life. You ain't thinking about that, man. You there to get your money.
That's it. I'm glad I won.
I just wish she would have been more truthful about the whole situation before I got her name branded on my neck, but...
Nigga, please. Brothers, do you listen to this shit? What type of grown man stands there and says something like that? That just shows that you have no understanding. You're not even cognizant of how much you're embarrassing yourself right now. You wish that she would have been more honest before you got her name branded on your neck. Now, give me a fucking break. Once again, brothers, you're not supposed to get tattoos, period. But you never, ever, ever get a tattoo of a woman because of a relationship that y'all are in. I don't give a shit how good the coochie is, how much you think you love her at the time. And I'm saying this particularly for a lot of you younger brothers, because a lot of y'all are the ones who are going to be most likely to make a dumbass mistake like that. Don't do that.
It's okay. It's, bought lesson is a taught lesson.
Well, that's not a bad slogan. Bought lesson is a taught lesson. In other words, he had to learn the hard way because he probably was never taught anything. It is what it is. So peace.